Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Today I have 5 family-friendly meals to share with you, and at the end of this video I also have a really easy, yummy dessert. I've put these meals together because I find that they're easy on me and my family really enjoy them. So that's why I thought I'd share them today, because I know how difficult it can be on the person who's cooking dinner every night of the week, especially when you've got a family who expect variety and, you know, they like variety and change, and I guess most people do, and that can be hard on the person who's organising the meals and cooking the meals every night. So I really hope you enjoyed today's video and you can take something from it and use it for maybe your family. And thank you very much for watching, and let's get into the cooking. The first recipe is a simple vegetable soup, but I have to put a loaf of bread on around about 3 hours prior to us having the soup, because we want to have some nice fresh bread with the soup tonight. So I got this off Amazon. It's a Breville. I'm really happy with it. I'm finding it really easy to use now once I got the hang of it all, and I have made a few loaves of bread now. I haven't done too much experimenting with it. There is other, breads and things I can make, but I'm just following the recipe in the book, which is the basic white bread recipe, the book that you get with the machine. And I'm just adding exactly what it says. You can make a 750 gram loaf or a kilo loaf. I made the kilo in the past and it rose too high, so I'm just going to stick with a 750 gram loaf. So I'm just going to be adding the water, the oil, the salt. This is so easy to just put together, I find, this loaf of bread. It's really something that you don't have to think about too much once you get the hang of the recipe. I just think it's a real simple sort of thing, and you can just put it on and leave it. It's just exactly what I need for, times when you're really busy and you don't have any bread in the house, or you just feel like some fresh bread, like with soup, what we're having tonight. So I'm just going to add in the sugar now, and I'm going to add in this Lighthouse bread and pizza plain flour. I use this a lot, and I've only got a little bit left in this box, and I'm going to open up a fresh new box. I get this from Aldi now because it's a lot cheaper from Aldi, but I haven't made a loaf of bread like this in such a long time. It really works well. Like the ones that I make by hand just haven't worked too well in the past, so I'm really happy with the bread maker. So it takes around it's 3 cups of bread flour in this for a 750 gram loaf of bread. So I'll add that in, and then after that I'm going to be adding in some milk powder. I know some of the recipes say that you can use fresh milk. I haven't tried fresh milk in it, so it's just because I've got lots of milk powder that I want to go through, and I don't want to steer away from the recipe because it's been working out so perfectly for me. I know that sometimes if you add extra here or there, something can go wrong with the bread, which I did with the bread improver. So here's the little box of bread improver. It's so cute. But I'm going to add that in now. Now here's a mistake that I made. I did put extra bread improver in there because I was looking at the 1 kilo loaf instead of the 750 gram when I was trying to read it. So I have put extra bread flour in, so I will have to try and get a little bit out. So I've just tried to scoop a bit more out so it doesn't rise too much. So I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure that's what happens if you put too much bread flour. So I'm going to add in, here's the milk powder that I was talking about. So add in the milk powder, and I've got my yeast. Someone told me to put my yeast in the freezer, and I have been doing that. It's a great way to store it. It's been in there ever since, so I'm putting in my yeast now. And then after that, it's done. That is basically all I have to do to put the ingredients in for the bread. And I'm going to put the setting on to I'm using a basic loaf here for the recipe, and I'm just going to set it on a 3-hour timer because that's the basic white bread timer. And then I'm going to be putting it on H for dark crust because I really like the crust to be dark. I can leave it on a little bit longer if I want to, but I just really like it crunchy. And I'm going to just leave that on now, and that's done. I am going to come back to it soon and, just see how it's going, and I'll show you how it's, it's turning around and it's kneading. It's so much better than having to knead it myself. Such a perfect way of making a loaf of bread and less time. So while that's baking, I'm going to cook these Mrs. Mac's potato top beef pies for lunch for my husband and myself. And I'm going to put these in the air fryer. I know I've said it so many times in my videos, but if I could eliminate my oven for my air fryer, I would. But I just love it. It just takes no time to cook, really. I'm just going to put it on for around about a little bit over 20 minutes there, and they will be nicely cooked. So here it is, kneading it perfectly well. Some of the bread makers I've had in the past have had a problem with even like kneading it and getting all the dough off the base of the bowl, but this just does it absolutely perfect. I'm really, really happy with this machine. So while that's still doing that, I've got my pies here. I've popped some sauce on them and they just look really nice. They look like they're bakery quality ones, and they were really delicious as well. It's something that would be perfect on a wintry cold night. So after lunch, I got into cutting up the vegetables for the soup. I'm cutting up a lot of vegetables. Everything I've basically got in the fridge is going to go into this soup. It's going to be pressure cookered. I absolutely love the pressure cooker for that reason. It really ticks every box for families when you want to have something that'll cook really easily, that's nutritious. It's just time-wise, it's just a perfect pot to cook things in. And I absolutely love it for soups and stews and things like that. So I'm going to chop up all the vegetables I can and put them in the pressure cooker and get on with tonight's dinner.
I don't think we got enough time to sort out all the fights, to sort out all the lies. Oh baby, yeah. There was a part of me that knew that, and still I'm caught by surprise. I thought you'd always be mine. I guess our dreams fell asleep. There's no passion in the comatose. Baby going down, 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 down. Baby going down, 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 down. Tried so hard to stay afloat. Yeah, we keep moving like the river goes. Baby going down, 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 down. Yeah. And I thought, it's time I'm letting you go. This time I know it for sure. I just thought I should let you know. Yeah, now, no words, no more, no. I got so high on a low. That's when I loved you the most. Now I thought I should let you know. Yeah, now, no words, no more, no. I really thought we had it covered. Was gonna patch up all the scars, but we smashed up all the parts. Oh, na, na, na. Always knew that you were stubborn, but didn't know it'd be so hard to figure out who you really are. I guess our dreams fell asleep. There's no passion in the comatose. Baby going down, 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 down. Baby going down, 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 down. Tried so hard to stay afloat. Yeah, we keep moving like the river goes. Baby going down, 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 down. Yeah. And I thought, it's time I'm letting you go. This time I know it for sure. Just thought I should let you know. Yeah, now, no words, no more, no. I got so high on a low. That's when I loved you the most. Now I thought I should let you know. Yeah, now, no words, no more, no. We're done now, no words, no more. We're done now, no words, no more. We're done now, no words, no more, no, no. We're done now, no words, no more. We're done now, no words, no more. We're done now, no words, no more, no, no. Yeah.
I've picked some vegetables out of the garden as well. So I've got a little bit of spinach here that I'm going to put in there. And I've also got some fresh parsley. I love parsley in vegetable soup. It's always a necessity in our house. So I'm just going to finally sort of chop up this spinach. The good thing about the pressure cooker is when you're in a real rush, you don't really have to cut things up really small, because I figure it just breaks it down to such a soft consistency anyway. And even if you want to get like a hand mixer out at the end and mix it all up, like not a puree, but just give it a little bit of a whiz. And that will just stop the vegetables from getting really bulky if you just want to break it down with a whisk. And when I'm really busy and I don't want to chop up vegetables really fine, I will just chuck in chunks of vegetables, even onions or anything, and later after it's cooked, I'll just give it a really quick whisk, or I've got like a hand mixer, and just break it down so I don't have it too chunky. But sometimes chunks are good in there as well. It just depends. Sometimes the kids don't like it. I just find the pressure cooker is something that just really, really works for me and our family. So I'm just going to chop up the parsley now, and then I'm going to start to cut up the sweet potatoes to add to the soup.
I guess our dreams fell asleep. There's no passion in the comatose. Baby going down, down, down. Baby going down, 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 down. Tried so hard to stay afloat. We keep moving like the river goes. Baby going down, down, down. Baby going down, 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 down. And I thought, it's time I'm letting you go. This time I know it for sure. Just thought I should let you know. No, it's no more, no. I got so high on a hill. That's when I loved you the most. No, I thought I should let you know. No, it's no more, we don't know. No, it's no more, we don't know. No, it's no more, we don't know. No, it's no more, no, no. We don't know. No, it's no more, we don't know. No, it's no more, we don't know. No, it's no more, no, no. Yeah.
So I'm using this bone broth. It's the best of the bone. I got this off a website and I've been so happy with it. It is a little bit expensive, but it's really well worth it because it's just like pure. So instead of using like chicken stock and all those little salt cubes that you put in things, this is just the real deal. As you can see, it's sort of like a gluey consistency. And the funny thing is, to me, when I have it just in a cup of water, it tastes a bit like a mushroom soup. And I don't know, it just tastes like it's nutritious. It's definitely salty, so you do not need any salt in this. So I'm just putting a big tablespoon of this in. And because I'm not adding any meat with it, I just feel that, I'm getting the nutrition from the bone broth here, and I don't actually have to have the meat. So it's going to be perfect just for the soup. I'm also adding in some barley because I love barley in soup, and I've also got some red lentils here. So I'm going to put all that in and put all the vegetables in as well. And by the end of it, we should have a really nice hearty soup.
I was at the wrong place at the right time, 'cause suddenly there you were with those bright blue eyes. We were conversing under the night sky when you took my hand, said let's leave now. Don't wanna be shy, I will let my guard down.
I've got some San Remo pasta here. This is like the vegetable pasta. It holds really well in soup, I find. It doesn't go too gluggy, so I'm just going to add some of that in there just for thickness and just to make it a little bit more interesting for the kids. They like to find a little bit of pasta here and there in their soup. So I'm just going to give that a bit of a whisk, and then I'm going to show you what the bread looks like. So here is the bread 3 hours later, and it's just perfect. I always hope that it's going to taste as good as it looks, and it usually does, seeing I haven't been using the bread maker, for a very long time or anything. It's just something that's new to me. I used to have one when I was about 18, but I was never happy with it. But this one is just good. It's just easy. So I'm just going to take that out now, and I'm just going to put it on this little rack so it cools off pretty quickly. It comes out really nicely too. So I'm taking that out. I've got to wear gloves because it's super, super hot. And as you can see, there it is. It looks pretty good. It's a little loaf, but that will do us. And basically, once we start eating that, we can't stop with some butter. And the kids really enjoy it. And it's best when it's fresh anyway. We do give them sandwiches out of it the next day. Sometimes if the bread's frozen, I'd rather just use this. But yeah, so it doesn't last long in our house, which is really good because there's no waste. And you've just sort of made yourself a little loaf. And it's nice and fresh, and the kids really enjoy it. So here it is here. There's our fresh soup and our nice bread. We're going to get some nice butter and pop that on the bread, and that will be dinner for tonight. So before I get started on this meal tonight, I just thought I'd show you another loaf of bread I just made. I've actually put sesame seeds with it. So I've sort of figured out when to put the sesame seeds in the machine, and it's basically, just that timing when it's sort of stopping its kneading process and it's going to start to, before it starts rising and things like that. So I try and get the sesame seeds in there as quickly as I can so I don't, ruin the baking process of the bread. But yeah, so it was a really nice loaf. And here I am now. I'm just going to chop up some vegetables. I'm going to make a quick fried rice and we're just going to have some sausages with it. So it's a pretty easy meal. And I'm using my little chopper from Kmart. Now this is super, super sharp. During making this video, I really sliced my hand quite badly on it, and I had the kids in the background and they were wanting things, and I was trying to do this video and cook dinner at the same time with a Band-Aid on my finger. But yeah, so I'm just going to pop in some zucchini here. I've got mushrooms and I've got onions and I have got some celery as well. So that's sort of the basic of what I'm going to be putting in it tonight. And I will be adding here, I've added some peas, I've got some capsicum and corn. That was like a frozen bag that I had as well. So I'm going to mix all that in and fry it up. So there's a lot of vegetables in here. I find fried rice can be a little bit complicated sometimes, so I try and make it as simple as possible because sometimes mine can go very gluggy, but it's not going to be a perfect fried rice. It's just what I can do for tonight. I've boiled my rice off so then I can add it together, and I'm going to put some eggs in here as well. The kids really like, a little bit of fried egg in there, and I'm just going to mix all that in, and then I will be adding it to the rice. So that's the rice basically done there, and now I'm going to get into frying the sausages. I'm going to put 2 pans on because I've got lots of sausages that I want to cook, and the kids can have a couple for tomorrow if they want. So dinner is cooked. It was pretty easy to put this together, and I've just put some red sauerkraut on top. I get this from Aldi and it's got apple in it as well, and it's absolutely delicious. For some reason, the apple, I think, ferments and makes all the cabbage really, really tender in this sauerkraut. The sauerkraut was a little bit of an afterthought, but it worked really, really well with like frankfurts and sausages. I've picked some fresh spinach and some fresh lettuce. I'll be using the lettuce in this meal and keeping the spinach for another meal. I can't believe the abundance that I've got today from the garden. It's just so vibrant. And if I don't pick it now, the caterpillars and all the bugs seem to get to it. So I'm going to use some of this and I'm going to get into making some pickled carrots. I've just got my son to grate the carrots and I'm just going to now add some vinegar and some salt and pepper. This is a really good way if you've got children that don't like carrots, because my kids don't really like carrots and they really enjoy this. They call it pickled carrots, and it's the first time I've really seen them enjoy carrots. Once we made the pickled carrots, we're just getting into making the crumbing for the chicken. We had no breadcrumbs in the house, so we're just going to use cornflakes. Everyone in the house helped with this meal tonight, so it made it quite interesting. But we're just going to whisk that up, and then I've just got this consistency like this, got the cornflakes there and some plain flour. We've just sort of cut the chicken through the middle there, and we're just going to put it into the crumbing, which is just the breadcrumbs and the flour. And my husband's just giving that a little bit of a shake. So that's what it looks like once it's all crumbed, and we've just put it on a lined baking tray. And we do have chicken left over, so we thought we'd make a spicy mix for the adults. And we just made a concoction here of milk and eggs and some taco seasoning. And now we're just going to dip that into the crumbing with the flour and the cornflakes there and make sure it's completely covered and add that to the tray. And then we're just going to put that in the oven to cook. And then that's a pretty easy sort of a dinner, and it came out really, really tender. It was really delicious, and we had so much, as you can see here. There was so much chicken because the kids didn't eat that much. So here it is, and we've just put the salad together on the side. We've got the fresh lettuce. We've also got some fresh beetroot that we've cut up. We've got the pickled carrots, the radishes, and we've got this red sauerkraut from Aldi again. And even though we didn't have the breadcrumbs for the chicken and we used the cornflakes, it worked out really nice and moist, especially for chicken breast. And the kids really, really enjoyed it. So we really thought it was a nice meal, and we'd definitely cook it again. So I've got my spinach and my onion cooking here. I usually put butter in it, but I'm not putting butter tonight because I have only a little bit, like a scraping left for the week. Over in this area here, over in this pot here, I've just got some bacon frying and some onion. I'll be making 2 quiches. It just makes it a lot easier. I can have one for another night this week, either tomorrow night or for lunches or something like that, and they can have it cold for school. So I'm going to actually add, so here we are here, I have got some ricotta. So ricotta's going in it. I usually use cream, but I've got ricotta and I want to keep the cream. I've got some sun-dried tomatoes just in this little pot here that I've chopped up, some garlic powder, some pepper, and I've only got 5 eggs. So this is going to be interesting. I usually would make it with 5 eggs each, but I've also got the ricotta, which is probably like thicker than cream. Maybe might work. So we're going to just try it with 5 eggs. I'll see if I can do 2.5 eggs each, and I'll share the whole tub of ricotta between the 2 pies. So let's put in the sun-dried tomatoes first. So these are just going into the bacon and cheese pie and onion. So I do have ham. You can use ham if you don't have bacon, or you could just make like an onion and cheese one. You don't even really need anything else with it. A bit of garlic if you wanted to. Okay, so that's that one. This one here is pretty much cooked now. I have used frozen spinach. I could have used fresh, but I want to keep that too, so I'm just using some of the leftover frozen spinach. But these are really, really easy to make. Basically, once they cool down, I'm going to be adding the 5 eggs between the 2, and I'm going to be adding the ricotta cheese, and then we'll mix all that up and pop it in the oven and then put the toppings on it. Okay, so I did put pepper in this one. I just had one hand, so I had to put the camera down for a bit. So I've put pepper in both of them now, and I'm just going to put a tiny little bit of garlic powder in there. Just a little bit in both. I don't have any fresh garlic. I have to buy some. And then I'll just give that a little bit more of a mix, like that. And yeah, let it cool down for a little bit.
Wanna be shy, I will let my guard down. I wanna laugh out loud, talk a little deeper, kiss a little harder. I wanna laugh out loud, talk a little deeper, kiss a little harder, love a little louder, love a little louder. We went to a small bar with neon lights, talked about everything that was on our mind. Talking to you gave me butterflies. Then you took my hand, said let's leave now. Don't wanna be shy, I will let my guard down. Don't wanna be shy, 'Cause I've climbed higher than I could dream of. Now using wires, I know I'm falling free. You set me off into emotion where I can just be me. You give a little, but you're giving me just what I need. No time for riddles, you're in the middle of my self-release.
In this meal, I'm going to be making a plum jam ginger garlic thigh cutlets. This was a delicious recipe and really, really simple. I'm sure you can use any jam. I just used the plum jam because I don't find it probably as sickly as like raspberry or strawberry. So I'm sure you could use any jam you wanted, but it was really simple as a marinade because if you don't have anything else, you know, you usually have jam in the house. So I have got my helpers today who are going to be helping me. My family all got in together and helped out in this meal. So my oldest boy is going to be peeling the garlic, which is probably a tedious job for him. So he's going to try and peel all that and he's going to put it in the chopper for me. And while he's doing that, I've got my youngest son who's going to be mixing in the powdered ginger into the jam. Now, if you've got fresh ginger in this, that would be perfect. Like fresh ginger, you can't beat. But I just didn't have any, and it is really, really expensive at the moment. So I'm just using the powdered ginger here, and he's going to pour that in and mix it all up together. And then we'll be adding in the garlic as well.
You give a little, but you're giving me just what I need. No time for riddles, you're in the middle of my self-release. You have unchained me.
So I'm going to season the chicken thigh cutlets now with pepper and salt, and we're also going to sprinkle on a little bit of garlic on top, and my son is going to spray it with some olive oil. And this is going to go into the oven for around about 20 minutes to half an hour. And I just want it to cook through a little bit because it just makes it easier to baste that way as well. I've got my fresh spinach from the garden here, and that's going to go into a pot to boil. And while that's cooking, my son is also chopping up the garlic now in the chopper. He's going to hand that to my youngest son, and my youngest son will mix it in to the jam and the ginger.
Seem to haunt me. You uncover the truth. 'Cause nothing really matters when you see it from a distance. Yeah. 'Cause I'm up higher than planes could take me. I have acquired.
So we have our pumpkin all cut up. It was a beautiful, vibrant pumpkin. And because we're having jam cutlet chicken, it probably wasn't a great idea to put honey on top of the pumpkin, but at the time we just thought it was a great idea until we started eating it, and we did actually put too much honey on the pumpkin. So we've coated it with honey here, but if you want to use this recipe with another meal, it really is beautiful with pumpkin, the honey. And once my son coats that with honey, we're just going to sprinkle it with some sesame seeds and a little bit of olive oil, and that's going to go into the oven to cook. So I've taken the chicken out of the oven, and we're just going to now put the jam, ginger and garlic on top of it. I'm just going to spoon it on top of each bit of chicken here, and then I'm going to brush it over. We've just got a rubber brush to brush it with, and it's just going to be completely coated. And like I said, because we've sort of partially cooked the chicken first, it sort of makes it a lot more easier to sort of marinate as well. It sort of runs over it and makes it really saucy. So we're just going to do that, brush it over, and then it's going to go back in the oven, and I'll show you what the end result's like.
Everything I need. You set me off into emotion. Oh yeah, where I can just be free. You give a little, but you're giving me just what I need. No time for riddles, you're in the middle of my self-release. You have unchained me.
In this recipe, I'm finally going to be making a dessert. This is going to be a passion fruit lemon cheesecake. I'm just following the Philadelphia cheesecake recipe. You can get that online. I will link that below in the description box if you want to try and make it. But it was absolutely delicious. It's really simple. It's just condensed milk, Philadelphia cheese, gelatine, lemon. I'm putting some passion fruit in, which you don't have to do. I've got biscuits. I'm using digestives and also butter. The digestives were perfect for the base. I've tried lots of different bases before, but the digestives were perfect. I had to do this by hand. I didn't show that part because the machine just wouldn't get through the biscuits. I've only got like a mini processor. So I'm just adding the butter now to the biscuit base, and then I'm going to put that in the tin and put it in the fridge. The best thing about this cheesecake is it doesn't need to be baked. I like baked cheesecakes as well, but it's so good when you can just pop it in the fridge and let it set in there. So while that's setting, I'm going to make the actual cheesecake with the kids.
You're giving me just what I need. No time for riddles. You're in the middle of my self-release. 'Cause you have unchained me. You have unchained me. You have
The dessert turned out really delicious. As I said before, it just sets in the fridge, which makes it so much easier. There's no baking. I hope you've enjoyed today's video and it's given you some ideas for yourself and your family. Thank you very much for watching, and please subscribe if you like this sort of content, and I'll see you next time. Thanks everyone. Bye.